Hello everyone, this is Adnan with another video on AWS Certified Solutions Architects Associate Certification. In this video, I'm going to show you how to work with AWS Bastion host, or in other words, it is also known as a jump host. So jump host is basically a server to which we connect through over the internet, and from that server we can connect to the inside of the network. What is the idea behind this is that only one server should be exposed to the internet instead of all of the other servers sitting in your organization are open to internet. So a jump host is a server. Again, it's just a normal server. It can be a Windows server, Linux server, and we can then this only one server is open to internet. The users or the admin will connect to this server through port 3389 or the RDP port, and from this server, once they are connected to this server, they can connect to the inside of the network. So in this in this lab, what we are going to do is we are going to create two servers. So one server will be considered as a Bastion server, and the second server will be considered as a web server. So, and the user will be connected, and we will be connecting from home, where we are connecting from at the moment, which is our home or office. So we can connect to this server, the Bastion server, and from Bastion server we'll be connecting to the to our private network. Now, in order to do this, let's go to our instances, and here we are going to launch, first of all, our web server, the web server that we need to create. So here I'm going to go with 2016 server, and we are going to go with the basics here, and nothing needs to be changed here, and the disk will be 1, and the tag will be it's a web server. And next, within the security group, this is open. For now, we're going to just leave it open, but here I'm just going to name this web server security group, so that I know that this security group, and later on we're going to work on this. So, and review and launch, and here I'm going to have a key for this. So I'm going to create a new key for our web server. So web server key 01, download the key pair, save the key pair here, and launch the instance. So while this instance is being launched, we are going to launch a second instance. So I'm going to go back to EC2 instances, and this time we are going to launch a second server, again a Windows machine. We can implement that in Windows machine, or we can implement that on Linux machine as well. In another video, I'm going to show you how to work with a Linux machine. So in this case, I'm going to launch another instance. So Windows Server, for the tag, I'm going to name this so this is our Bastion host. Now Bastion host is also known as a jump server or a jump box. So this is Bastion security group, and we're going to leave everything as is. Later on we're going to work on this, and on this one, so I am going to create a new key for this. Bastion key 01, download the key, make sure you keep the key safe. So now we have two servers. So both servers are being created. So while the two servers are being created, let's understand the functionality here. So two servers are being created, and so going back to our diagram, So this is what we are trying to do. So we have one server that is considered as a Bastion server. So both are server 2016, and this is also server 2016 number one, and this is considered as a Bastion server, Bastion host, and this one is a web server. Now, if we don't use a Bastion server, we can open, we need to open both on both servers RDP port for the public. So here we can have, so we connect from here. So we are going to connect from our client machine. So our client machine has an IP address, let's say whatever the public IP address it has. So my machine, public IP address keeps on changing. So from the public IP address, I am going to connect to the Bastion server, and from Bastion server, we are going to connect to the web server. So in this case, so the very first thing, once the servers are ready, or if not ready, we are going to work on our Bastion host first. So first I'm going to connect to the Bastion host security group, and within the security group is open for port 0.0.0/0, and even this one is also open by default to 0.0.0. So we're going to change this to my client IP address. First of all, I'm going to restrict the access to this server to my client IP address, which is my IP address. So first of all, only I will be able to, instead of the public, everyone will be able to connect, only I will be able to connect. In the real network, you will have a subnet from where you can connect. So I'm going to restrict that. And secondly, what we're going to do is, on this server, instead of everyone are allowed to connect to this server, we are only going to get Bastion public IP address, Bastion host public IP address to access this server. So this server will only be able to access from this server. Now once we do these settings, you can apply these settings to all the servers inside this. So if you have another server, it will be exactly the same configuration. So this is why it is known as a jump server, because we as an admin will connect to this server, and then we can connect to inside these servers, and these servers will only be accessible from the Bastion host. So let's configure that now. So first I'm going to make this configuration, go to the security group of Bastion, and allow only my client machine. Then I'm going to go to the security group of the second server. So in doing that, let's go to our instances. So here I have two instances. So one instance is, I'm going to call this, so this one is a web server. So here I can remember that we call this security group. So this is a web server. So this one is a web server, and my second server, so that makes my second server. So this is a Bastion host. So this is a Bastion host. So second one. So first of all, let's go to the Bastion host and go to the security group. Security group is right here. This is the security group. I'm going to go to inbound port. There is only one port open, and it is open for everyone. The source is everyone. Let me just edit the inbound port. So it's saying 3389 is open and anyone can connect. Instead, I'm going to just connect to my IP address. So this is my IP address, and here I'm going to just save this so that now only I will be able to connect to the Bastion host. And secondly, I'm going to go to my and this setting is saved, number one. I'm going to go back to my web server instance, and for the web server I'm going to go to security group, and within this I am going to edit this inbound group, and instead of anyone or IP address, here I'm going to need the IP address of the Bastion host. So for that, I'm going to go back to the Bastion host, and here this is the public IP address of Bastion host. So this is, I can connect through this here, and in this case I can go with the DNS name actually, and going to the web server, and in the web server we are going to go to the security group, and here I'm going to edit the inbound port, and instead of this I'm just going to copy here the public IP DNS name of my Bastion host. So save. Okay, so I'm gonna bring, actually this should work too. I'm gonna just cancel this and go back to the instance. I'll bring the public IP address. public IP address of the Bastion host. So we are going to use a public IP address for the Bastion host on the security group of the web server. So edit the inbound rule, and here is the public IP address. So okay, yeah, so here I'm just gonna give it a subnet, which is this subnet, and that's it. So subnet is provided, this is the public IP address, and this is the subnet, and that's it. So now we are good to go. So I'm going to go here. So both things are set. So now I'm going to connect from, first of all, I'll try to connect to the web server. So in order to connect to a web server, remember that first of all we need to get the password here. I'm just going to get the password here by getting the web server. So I'm just going to get the password from the web server, my web server, and decrypt the password, and the password is this. So for now I'm just going to copy this all to a text file. So this is the web server, and let's try to connect to this and see what happens. So let's try to connect. So normally in normal cases we should be able to connect through the public IP address, but let's see. So definitely it will error out because we restricted access to this server and we got this error message. Okay, so that is fine, but we had to come to get the IP address. So now we can log into the Bastion host. So Bastion host, that can only be accessed from my machine, and in this case I am going to get the key for the Bastion server, decrypt the password, and I'm going to copy this password and connect to this RDP client. So here I am able to connect to this server. Now once you're connected to this server, the only way now we can connect to the other server is from this server. So, and how do you connect to this server? We need the public IP address of the web server. So here I'm just going to get the public IP address of the web server, and once this is connected we can connect from inside this server. So here I'm just going to run a command called mstsc. mstsc is the command to bring the remote desktop connection on Windows machine. It's just a bit slow. So here you just type the word mstsc and this will be, you can come down to remote desktop, or you can type remote desktop, then should come here. So just copy the IP address of the web server. Remember that you're logged into the Bastion server, and let's try to connect. So here now it is asking for username and password, and remember that we copied that username and password on a text file. So the username will be administrator and the password will be the password. So here now we are able to connect from the Bastion host to the inside of the server. So, and you can see that we are logging in to the server, and here this is the client machine and this is basically the other machine. So this is why it is known as a jump host, because we always connect to a Bastion host. From Bastion host you can connect to anywhere inside your network. So this is how we can work with a Bastion host or a jump host in AWS infrastructure. Thank you for watching this video.